A bowl of bouillabaisse is not just a meal. It is the salty, sun-drenched soul of Marseille captured in a single, steaming pot. To understand this dish is to understand the history of a city that has stared out at the Mediterranean for 26 centuries, surviving on what the tides provided and what the human spirit could invent from the scraps of the sea. The story begins not in the refined kitchens of French aristocracy, but on the rocky, wind-whipped docks of the Vieux-Port. For generations, Marseille's fishermen would return from the deep with their nets full of prize catch, the sea bream and the red mullet that fetched a high price at the morning markets. But there was always a remainder. The bony, jagged, rock-dwelling fish that were too difficult to fillet and too ugly to sell. These were the leftovers, the poor man's portion. Rather than discarding them, the fishermen gathered on the shore, threw these cast-offs into a cauldron of seawater, and added whatever aromatics they had on hand: garlic, fennel, and a pinch of saffron brought by traders from distant lands. The name itself is a masterclass in culinary physics. It is derived from two Provençal words: bolhir, meaning to boil, and abaissar, meaning to lower. This is the secret rhythm of the dish. You must start with a violent, rolling boil to emulsify the oil and water into a rich, golden broth. But the moment the delicate fish hits the pot, you must lower the heat to a gentle simmer. If you fail to lower the flame, the fish disintegrates into mush. If you fail to boil it hard enough at the start, the broth remains thin and watery. It is a dish that demands your full attention, a dance between intensity and restraint. As the centuries passed, this humble fisherman's stew began to climb the social ladder. It traveled from the wooden tables of the docks to the elegant dining rooms of the French Riviera. But as it gained fame, it also faced a crisis of identity. By the late 20th century, the term bouillabaisse was being slapped onto any bowl of fish soup, regardless of quality or authenticity. It became a tourist trap, a diluted shadow of its former self. In 1980, the chefs of Marseille decided they had seen enough. They drafted the Charte de la Bouillabaisse, a formal charter designed to protect the integrity of the dish. This was not just a recipe. It was a manifesto. The charter dictates that a true bouillabaisse must contain specific Mediterranean rockfish, including the rascasse, or scorpionfish, which provides the essential gelatinous texture that gives the broth its body. It forbids the use of shellfish or crustaceans as a shortcut to flavor, insisting that the depth must come from the fish itself. The ritual of eating it is just as sacred as the cooking. It is never served as a single course. First, you are presented with the broth, served with toasted bread rubbed with garlic and a dollop of rouille, a fiery, saffron-infused mayonnaise that acts as the bridge between the earth and the sea. Only after you have savored the liquid essence of the Mediterranean are you served the fish, carefully filleted and presented on a separate platter. This two-part service is a reminder of the dish's history. The broth was the sustenance of the working day, and the fish was the reward for the labor. Today, bouillabaisse serves as a culinary map of Marseille's history as a melting pot. The saffron speaks to the city's ancient trade routes with the East. The garlic and olive oil reflect its deep Provençal roots, and the rockfish represent the rugged, unforgiving nature of the Mediterranean coastline. It is a dish that refuses to be rushed, demanding that you sit, breathe in the scent of fennel and sea salt, and acknowledge the generations of families who turned the ocean's scraps into a masterpiece. When you sit down to a bowl of authentic bouillabaisse, you are not just eating dinner. You are participating in a tradition that has survived wars, industrialization, and the changing tides of global cuisine. You are tasting the resilience of a port city that has always known how to take the broken pieces of the world and boil them down into something beautiful. Summit.